Today, I have with me a prominent wealth coach specializing in transforming the financial narratives of accomplished women globally. Through her renowned Love Yourself Financially life coaching program, she guides women to take charge of their finances, fostering sustainability and fulfillment on the journey to a wealthy life. As an investment manager, she provides bespoke financial advice to professionals and business owners worldwide. From contemporary art to real estate and private equity offerings, she's dedicated to ensuring clients feel confident and secure in their journey towards financial success, freedom, and wealth preservation. Please join me in welcoming Lydia Elim. Thank you so much for, being a part of the Navigating Purpose with Tammy podcast. It's a pleasure to have you on the show.
Thank you so much for having me today, Tammy.
Sure, you're welcome. I think we can just dive right in.
Let's do it.
On the last episode with Funke Amobi, she left a question for you, and the question was, what was your game changer?
You know what? I would say probably when I figured out that what I needed to do was to work with women, because I knew generally what I enjoyed doing. And then as a financial advisor, I was doing a little bit of that. But when I connected it with helping women build wealth and helping them live their best wealthy life, that was a game changer for me. And that totally changed the way I approached my business, but also the way that I approached just life in general.
So why women? What led to that realization? What happened? What was that defining moment in your life that led you to think, hey, you know what? I'm going to teach women about wealth or wealth management, financial literacy. What was that one defining moment for you?
Well, when I moved to UAE in 2016, working as a financial advisor, I would sit down with men and women. And I quickly noticed that when I would sit with men, they were quick to take my advice and start investing immediately. With women, they would say things like, I don't know what I'm doing, this is confusing, I don't really understand, I'm not good at managing my money, and so on. So I realized that there's something happening here. There's a block. And I decided I need to do something about that.
Yeah.
That's how Love Yourself Financially was born, was to address this specific issue for women.
Nice. And then let's just go a little bit back. How did you find out about wealth management, financial literacy? I feel like for me, I've only recently started to really, really plan my life. I need to have money. I need to save. I need to invest. How did you start that journey? Was it school, education, or was it your parents kind of imbibed those attributes in you earlier on? What was that about?
So, growing up, I was always told to save money.
Yeah.
I didn't really do it that well, if I'm honest.
Yeah.
But I do remember in university, I would invest. I was investing in the stock market. Don't ask me how I got started.
Yeah.
I don't even really think I knew what I was doing, but for whatever reason, I was investing. Then I had moved to Ghana after university, and I remember in 2011, I took a course, an intro to investing or intro to the stock market at the Ghana Stock Exchange. Honestly, looking back, I can't tell you why I felt I wanted to do that.
Yeah.
Why I was drawn to it. Perhaps it's just something that was always there, but I don't think I really delved so deeply into it. It was more like a superficial interest that I tapped into here and there. I invested also in some stocks over the years, but I didn't really connect it to my bigger picture. I didn't connect it to, I need to have money for later in life. I need to have money so that I can enjoy my life and live my purpose. So that's why I said, when I started Love Yourself Financially, it helped me personally. But then because I created a framework, that helped me also impart that knowledge to other women.
Yeah. So back in uni, did you make any investment errors or mistakes? Because I know that a lot of women are afraid to kind of take that first step because they don't want to lose money, So looking back at your journey, based on everything that you've explained, did you make any mistakes back then, or it wasn't a complicated process?
Honestly, I don't think I could even tell you what I invested in. It was probably just some predetermined funds that my bank had. I will say the one mistake I probably made was to withdraw the money. So when I needed the money later on and things were tight, I withdrew the cash. Maybe now in retrospect, I could have found another way to make money so I wouldn't need that. But if the money had been compounding, I have no idea how much money it is.
Yeah.
Just based on that small investment.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, that's great. So let's talk about money trauma. On your Instagram page, I've seen you kind of talk about money trauma and reference money trauma. What is money trauma?
So money trauma is essentially any experience you may have or someone else has had that has had an impact on you that blocks your mindset about money. So if we're talking about what a money mindset block is, it's essentially a mindset that will inhibit you from achieving your financial goal. Now, mindset block will come often from a money trauma. So maybe you heard your parents arguing about money, complaining about having bills. You heard, I don't know, some difficulties that your parents had financially growing up. Or maybe you feel some guilt because you were really wealthy and maybe a lot of your parents weren't. There's so many causes or instances that can contribute to money trauma. But at the end of the day, it's feeling maybe some kind of emotions or thoughts that won't allow you to hit your financial goals. It's feeling some kind of unease when it comes to money.
Yeah, I would say that I feel unease with money, to be honest.
Most people do, honestly. Most people really do.
I feel like I am obsessed with saving and investing and building wealth. I think I just don't want to be poor. I feel like I've been there and I don't ever want to be poor again.
So it's like you're running away.
Yeah. Yeah.
So imagine if you just had a small shift and instead of running away from poverty, you're running towards the life you want. Then you'll feel more empowered and feel more encouraged to make the right decisions to get there.
Yeah.
If not, you're always looking behind your shoulder thinking, oh my God, poverty is around the corner.
Yeah.
What do I need to do? I feel anxious. I feel worried. I'm stressed. Always looking at my bank account. I'm always counting every dollar. I'm always like penny pinching.
Yeah.
And we don't want that. I want you to feel so confident and so calm about the way that you're managing your money now because it's going to lead you to the life that you want.
Yeah. How should people manage their money?
Now,
how should people manage their money? Because I feel like that's a big question that a lot of people just cannot answer. And this is whether or not you're single, married, whether or not you're a parent. I think people just don't know how to manage their money, what to put their money in, where to look at, where to even start. So how should people manage it?
Well, first I want to bring up an important point you just said. I say everyone should be financially independent.
Yeah.
Whether you're single, married, widowed, divorced, whether you have kids or you don't. You want to be in a good financial situation, right? So, especially in the UAE, it's so easy to come out here. We're making better money out here. But statistically, people end up leaving with less money than they came here with.
Yeah.
So it's really important to manage your money. If you weren't managing your money well before you moved out here, chances are, unless something happens, you're just going to continue in the same way of maybe mismanaging your money.
Yeah.
So the basic advice that I give is you should know where your money is going and, of course, where it's coming from. So if you have multiple income streams, you should be able to tell me every month I receive 20,000, 50,000, 100,000 dirhams or whatever currency you're earning in.
Yeah.
In the same vein, you should also be able to tell me at least approximately how much money is going out.
Yeah.
Right? So you know what your expenses are. Budgeting is great, but I believe budgeting should be done on a temporary basis. So you're doing it for a few months, more like data collection. Because when you know where your money is going, then you can say, you know what, I spend too much money in this one area. I actually think it's more important for me to spend in something that I love or spend towards my future goal. So with that data, then you can start automating your savings, investments, and expenses. So simple example, you have your internet bill, your Wi-Fi bill, automate it, put on your credit card or bank transfer every month. So you don't have to think about it.
Yeah.
But it's already accounted for because you know it's in your budget. In the same way, when you're planning for your investments, your savings, you know it's automated every single month. Your salary hits, and then a fixed amount is going towards your savings and towards your investment. Now, when we're talking about savings, we're talking about two things specifically.
Yeah.
The first is emergency savings, and the second are sinking funds. So emergency savings is just what the name means.
Yeah.
Something that you can't plan toward. So an emergency happens, your car tire bursts.
Yeah.
You have to go back home because there's a family emergency.
Yeah.
Something that you couldn't have planned toward.
Yeah.
Anything else is a sinking fund.
Yeah.
So a sinking fund is like you're going on vacation, you have a birthday party, you're planning for Christmas, for Eid. You know it's coming up, so you can plan towards ensuring you have enough money for it.
Yeah. So should people have two separate accounts for the emergency fund and the sinking funds? And also, what percentage of your, income or salary should you put into that? So, and I also think that there's just two parts of the question. I think that there should also be one more, which is investing, right?
That's the last one.
Yeah. So let's talk about one, emergency funds, and then whether or not you should have separate accounts for them, and then we go into investing.
Yeah. Okay. So for your emergency fund and your sinking funds, it depends on the individual.
Yeah.
At least I would say have an emergency fund separate from your sinking fund.
Yeah.
But it's up to you. Your emergency fund can be sitting in a savings account so you can get a little bit of interest. But the important thing is you have easy access to that money should you need it.
Yeah.
Because if an emergency happens, you don't want to be tapping into your investments. It could take a few days to receive that cash. You want to have easy access to it.
Yeah.
For your sinking funds, it's the same. You could either have one account or you could have multiple accounts. So I've seen you have one account, but you know what your target is for each specific financial goal. So if it's saving towards a down payment for a house or a vacation, you have that written down and you know what amount you need on certain dates. But I've also seen other people who have one savings account for each specific short-term goal.
Yeah. And would you say that emergency funds should be 3 months or 6 months? I hear 3 months, I hear 6 months, I hear 1 year. What is it?
So, generally the rule of thumb starts with 3 to 6 months worth of your expenses. So if you're spending 5,000 dirhams every month, you should at least have 15,000.
Yeah.
Beyond that, it depends on who you are, what your expenses are, what your lifestyle is like, and what your family makeup is. So I would say if you're a married couple and you have multiple children, you probably need a bigger buffer, right? And I know people who have a year, 2 years dedicated just towards their emergency.
Yeah. Wow.
These are, more
That's a lot of money.
people, but it's money that's still working for them.
Yeah.
Still being, invested in a short-term account.
Yeah.
And then the last thing you asked was what percentage?
Yeah.
I am not one generally to give fixed percentages to people.
Yeah.
I want to know your unique situation. I want to know what your goals are. And then based on that, we can allocate specific amounts towards each goal. Now, generally, there is a 50-20-30 rule where 50% goes towards your necessities, 50% of your income goes towards necessities, 20% goes to savings, and then 30% is for, your lifestyle and enjoyment. So if you want to go by a fixed percentage, then 20% of your income generally is the rule. But if you're single, you're earning a good salary, you can put a lot more money.
Absolutely.
But maybe you're single, but you don't earn a really good salary, or you have, you're single or married with kids, then there are different considerations that come in. So I don't want someone to feel guilty because they're not able to save that 20%. Then we can start looking at, how can we increase your income so you can feel more comfortable? And you can start planning towards investment.
Yeah. I think I'm at 40% now, which isn't bad, but I feel like my lifestyle.
That's great. That's great.
I feel like I'm not able to flex and live my life the way that I really want to. But I think for me, I just always look at the end goal, what the future and all of that. So what should people be investing in?
Well, I say everyone can invest in the stock market. That's pretty much no matter where you are around the world, you can invest in the stock market through some kind of platform that should be available in your country. And it's so easy to get started. You don't need a lot of money like people believe. You just need probably just a few dollars, depending on where you live and what's available to you. So investing in the stock market, I would say start by investing in a fund as opposed to an individual stock. And the reason for that is it's just diversification. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. So if you invest in one company, you're putting all your eggs into that one company.
Yeah.
Something were to happen to that company, you might be really anxious, which we don't want. So we spread out the risk. We invest in a fund that probably contains dozens, if not hundreds of companies. And so immediately you're spreading out that risk. All right. And do your research. I'm not going to recommend any specific funds.
I was going to ask, but
no, because this is just for educational purposes. I'm not giving investment advice.
Yeah.
Do your research. Try and stick to more broader range funds. So funds that probably include a wider net in the country where you're investing or even the region.
Yeah.
Stay away from, very specific higher risk investments. So the more niche you get, the higher the risk. And so just generally, I would say try and get something that's all-encompassing. If you Google, you can easily find, just Google the top 10 funds in countries like, there are a couple of countries globally that have, the strong economies.
Yeah.
So I'd suggest looking at those countries first.
Right. So let's talk about what you do. So I know that on a personal capacity, I have some investments with you. Let's talk about the work that you do and the value that you can give to women looking to invest outside of stocks. What else is out there and where do you come in?
Okay. So generally, the first thing I do is I'll sit down with you. I'll understand what your financial goals are, understand how much money you have to invest, understand the time frame. So maybe you have a lot of money to invest, but you might need it in the short term, so within a few years. Then that would also determine what options I have for you. So what I normally see is either one, you're looking for an income, a regular income. So this is often someone who's a bit older. They're preparing for retirement, or you're looking simply for growth. If you're looking simply for growth, then you don't need that regular income coming in. And so we're looking at something that's going to compound over the longer term. So I do have some fixed interest options, for example, and that's where you're going to get paid either quarterly or biannually a fixed amount.
Yeah.
Some people like that, right? Better than leaving cash in the bank. Maybe they just want to diversify and not just invest in the stock market. That's a good way to do that. I also have the option of investing in art. So this is looking at contemporary art, and contemporary art has outperformed the stock market since, the 2000 or so by over 400%. I mean, we can have a conversation after if we want to look at that.
Yeah.
Investing in real estate as well.
Yeah.
Especially UK real estate. And then we have some US options as well.
Yeah.
Again, strong markets that protect you as the investor. That's really important. So these are just a few options.
Yeah.
We have more, but I won't go into all those details right now.
I'm going to backtrack a bit because I feel like we kind of moved a little bit away from the question. We talked about money trauma previously. So how should women heal from money trauma, or what can they do basically to heal from this and move on from money trauma?
I think the first thing is to even recognize that you might have money trauma.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't. So when I say you might have money trauma, think about a situation where maybe your bill, when you get a notification for your bill, how do you respond? Someone asks to borrow money, how do you respond? In different money situations you might experience, how do your emotions respond to it?
My emotions skyrocket.
There you go. That to me tells you that there might be some money trauma.
Yeah.
So then when there's money trauma, we need to understand the root cause. Often it has to do with our upbringing, like I mentioned earlier. And then when you understand the root cause, you can work on healing that, but you can also work on responding differently in the present tense.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's so many situations where I used to feel anxious. Even when I had the money, because of money trauma, I would still feel anxious. And I just didn't understand. But then every time I remind myself, it's okay. I have the money. And I would be grateful that I have the money instead of maybe fuss or be anxious about it.
Yeah.
And then so slowly but surely, with time and with intentionality, you can change the way that you respond emotionally to different money situations. And as you do, that heals the present, but it also helps heal the past while addressing the past as well.
Yeah. So how would you do that? Like, what am I supposed to do? So like plan better for, is it like plan better for my money? Speak to a wealth advisor, coach? Like, what are those practical steps that I need to do? For me personally, so what I do is immediately I get my salary, I start to distribute the money just because I want to make sure that my savings goals are met immediately. So I have a percentage already in my head that I want to save every month. And I have identified those platforms that I want to use to save the money. So immediately my salary is paid, probably by the end of day. I don't really automate things at the moment. So I think that's one thing I need to take on board. But I already have a plan of how I'm going to spend my money and a percentage of how much I want to save every month. Some of them are automated, some others are not. So like for stocks, high risk, medium risk, low risk, and then some fixed deposits that I do on the side, I would immediately take those out. And then whatever I have left is just what I used to survive.
I don't want you to just survive. I want you to have a little bit of enjoyment.
I survive.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So what would you say would be like practical ways, assuming you've identified that you have money trauma, what would be practical steps?
Okay. So let's categorize it, because you're talking about money management and then talking about money trauma. So what you just described is having systems in place, and that's how you can manage your money, which is great.
Yeah, because I don't want to be, I think there's cause and effect. I guess it's because that trauma exists and I don't want to go back to being poor. So like I'm trying to manage the money as effectively as possible. Makes sense.
Yeah. I understand. So yeah, you have recognized that there's something that you don't want to experience again.
Yeah.
So you put systems in place to ensure that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But you're still anxious.
Yes.
That's what the issue is. So honestly, I'll give you an example of an exercise that I give to my clients. You can try it.
Yeah.
You can try it. Everyone watching can try it. But then that's maybe where you might also need to work with an expert. So because it's something that I have worked on for myself and obviously worked with for my clients over the years, I know that it works.
Yeah.
Right? And sometimes you can do things on your own for a period of time, and then maybe you realize you want to get to the next level and you're not able to.
Yeah.
That might be the point where you call in an expert.
Yeah.
Right? I've done the same for myself. And I think it's really important. Otherwise, you'll get stagnant. You might even revert, and you don't want that. You want continued growth and evolution. So let me give you the exercise. And this is the difference between coaching and financial advisory.
Yeah.
As a financial advisor or wealth advisor, I manage your money. You give me your money. Mm-hmm. We have a plan.
Yeah.
I invest it so that we can meet those financial goals.
Yeah.
As a coach, I help you more with, that's what we're talking about, your relationship with money. And so let me give you the exercise. So it's something that I simply call a thought audit. So it's about checking your thoughts and emotions as you go throughout the week. So every day, take time, a few times throughout the day, to sit and feel through your emotions. Sometimes it's not even related to money at all, but just take note of your emotions in different circumstances. Because the most important thing is understanding your emotions and what your emotions are trying to tell you. In my coaching program, I work with a psychologist, Dr. Carol. She always says, your emotions are messengers. You can't run away from them.
Yeah.
But you should listen, because they're telling you a story. And the story is what we want to change. We want to change whatever belief, whatever programming we have about money. So when you pay attention to those emotions, then you can decide, you know what, I don't want to feel this way any longer. So you can be intentional of, in the moment or even after the fact, writing yourself a note and saying, I felt like this in this moment. I want to feel like this. And then so next time it happens, you can slowly start shifting the way that you respond to each money situation. So try it. not just with your money, but you could try it in different areas of your life.
Yeah.
But it's really about being in tune with your emotions, so you can be aware of what they're telling you.
Oh, that's very, very, very nice. Would you say that there are different ways to invest for different categories of people? So like young professionals, mothers. I know you talked about people heading towards retirement. Are there different ways that they should be investing?
Okay. So there are different schools of thought. So there are some who advise on percentages of investing in stocks and bonds based on your age. But again, because I'm sitting with you and I'm having a one-on-one consultation, that will help me determine if you are someone who is 30 years old, you want to retire at 60. In my professional opinion, you have 30 years, you have a lot of time to ride out the volatility in the stock market.
Yeah.
So you could be more of an aggressive investor.
Yeah.
But you may not be. I may have someone who is in their late 50s, soon to retire, who's more aggressive. So I would say it's more about giving individualized advice. But generally speaking, the younger you are, the more time you have to invest, the more aggressive you can be. But just because you can doesn't mean you're comfortable with it.
Yeah.
I need you to be comfortable. I have clients who started off with me. Maybe they just started investing. They were very conservative. But as time progressed, as I started teaching them more, I gave them more material for them to learn on their own, they became more confident. And as they became more confident, they were willing to take slightly more risk.
What are the craziest statistics that you've seen, heard about, when it comes to women and investing?
Probably one of the most shocking ones was that millennial women, I think 60% of millennial women are likely to leave the financial decisions up to their spouse. And this is in heterosexual relationships. So a couple of generations ago, we know so many stories of women who didn't have that financial empowerment, didn't have the ability to earn on their own the way that we do now. And the fact that we can now, but we're still giving that authority to our husbands, to me, is shocking to me.
Yeah.
Because, like I said, regardless of your relationship status, regardless of where you are in life, you should aim to be financially independent. Even within your marriage, it is possible. You can be transparent and partially independent. Of course, have your joint goals and your joint investment and expenses.
So what's your take on joint accounts? I know you just touched on it, but I would like you to expand on that a little bit. What's your take on joint accounts and how should couples be investing?
So generally, I say everyone has their separate account, and then you have one joint account that's in both names.
Yeah.
Right? And both people have to sign. And that can go towards your expenses and your future planning, so savings and investments. And how the percentages, I believe it's easier as a ratio. So if one person is earning, let's say, 30% more than the other, that person should be contributing 30% more. But it's up to each couple to determine, if you're looking at, a lot of African cultures.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the man takes care of the house, takes care of the kids, and the woman handles her own or contributes partially.
Yeah.
And then a lot of Arab culture that I've seen is the same. The man handles the major expenses.
Yeah, heavily.
The wife's money is her own, but she can contribute if need be.
Yeah.
And only if she wants.
Right. What are your top 5 money rules?
Goodness. Okay. My top 5, I would
or
say.
Top 3 if you don't have top 5. But what are your money rules?
Okay. Well, 1, know where your money's going. That's really important because I have sat down with so many people who have no idea. They can't tell me, not even approximately, how much money they're spending every month. Or they'll give me a figure and then I'll say, okay, go track for the next month. And they come back to me and the figure is completely different and they're shocked, right? Enjoy your money. It's good to save, it's good to invest, but I need you to enjoy your life now.
Yeah.
Put a little bit of money aside every month so that you can do something to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Now, the third I'll say is what I tell my clients, my Love Yourself Financially clients. To love yourself financially, you must first love yourself. And so this journey, this healing journey, the money trauma, all of that is all about learning to love ourselves. And that impacts the way that we manage our finances.
Wow, that's really profound. I think, yeah. I'm learning a thing or two.
I'm glad.
I'm learning a thing or two here. Definitely know where your money is. Allow yourself to enjoy this money. Like, you've worked for it. So, like, enjoy it. Live in the moment, plan, but also put some money aside to really enjoy yourself and enjoy your life. I think that's very, very, that's very profound.
And you know why it's really important? Because I've seen so many people, and I've heard stories, friends who talk and we're sharing, and you hear stories of people who've worked so hard their whole life. Finally, they're retired.
Yeah.
And they're scared to spend their money.
Yeah.
Like, you've worked so hard, and now that it's the time to enjoy.
I can understand it, though. I can understand it. I think it's just, you're not working, you're not earning anything anymore. Well, I guess that's where planning comes in.
But they plan and they have enough money. But it's also that fear. The fear of, I don't want to be poor again.
Yeah.
That's why I said it's so important to overcome that fear, because I don't want you living in fear. I want you living in the present.
Yeah.
Not running away from something in the past. The next one I would say is to be grateful. Gratitude goes a long way. When you're grateful for the things you have, you'll get more of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's 4. I hope that works.
Yeah, that works. I think we're rounding up this episode now, and what other thing would you like to tell people or tell the world about investments or savings that maybe I haven't touched on?
Start now.
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how little it is, it'll compound. Albert Einstein said, compound interest is the 8th wonder of the world. And there's a reason for that. We invest because we want our money to work for us. And when it works for us, that means in the future, we won't have to work because the money will be there for us. Every decision you make now and every investment you make now is so that your future self will be able to enjoy peacefully without any stress or worry.
Wow. That's amazing. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. It's been absolutely inspiring. I've learned a thing or two. And just before we round up, I want you to leave a question for the next guest.
So my question for the next guest.
Yeah.
If you received $1 million today, how would you spend it? Break it up into categories.
Wow. Can I answer that question? Just before the next person. What would I do with $1 million? Wow. I would probably put about $700,000 in savings.
Savings or investment?
Well, investment, savings, all of that stuff. I would probably put about $700K in savings or investment. And then I would tithe because I'm Christian. But, with tithing, sometimes when you see big money, I feel like even now, like I'm actually like struggling to tithe because it's just like, oh my God, this amount of money, I know what I would use it for, but I would tithe. I would
make sure you're tithing from a place of gratitude.
Yes.
It helps.
Yes.
Not like, oh, I could use this money elsewhere.
Well, yeah, but I think that human side of you would think about it like, oh my God, this is a lot of money that I could be using for something else. But I think you're doing it because you love God and it's something, that you are committed to. So I would tithe. Let's start with tithing. And then I would put about $700K in investments and savings. It's just things that would generate more money. I would try to I would probably put down a deposit, a mortgage or something in a prime location where I know that it would yield something. And then maybe I'll take like 50. Well, 50K is a bit much though. No matter the type of enjoyment you want to enjoy. I don't know what you would be doing with 50K.
It's a lot.
But really? No, that's spending too much.
Take 6 months off, take 3 months off.
Well, I'm still a workaholic, so I feel like I would want to kind of balance things out. But take some money out for that enjoyment that you've said. Give some money to my family. And then figure out what to do with the rest. But just make sure that I'm secure. Now, this is my own verdict in terms of how I would spend the money, but we'll leave that to the next guest. Thank you so much for joining me on the podcast. And I really, really appreciate it. I hope that you've enjoyed kind of talking about this.
Yeah, it's been wonderful.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you. See you soon.
Yeah.